housing supply. That discussion reported in partnership with the
Hello and welcome to Dateline here on Housing TV Africa, your one-stop station for news and updates in the housing sector. It's a pleasure to have you here on the program. My name is Dorcas Chia, and today we are going to be talking about inclusive representation. This has to do with women's representation in national and housing matters as well. We have our guest who is the Executive Director, Women Development Monitoring Initiative, who is going to be speaking to us on this particular topic, telling us the need for women to be represented in national matters and societal matters, and what role they play and what they bring to the table. So to get more information on this particular topic, do stay tuned with us as we take a short break, and when we return, the program will kickstart. Thank you very much.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts on Facebook, Housing TV Africa, on Twitter, Housing TV Africa, Instagram, Housing TV Africa. Join the conversation and keep up with latest housing updates.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Dateline here on Housing TV Africa, your one-stop station for news and updates in the housing sector. Just before that quick break, we said we were going to be where our guest was on standby, and we are going to be talking about inclusive representation, the women's participation or inclusiveness when it comes to national matters. And we have with us someone who is well versed in this particular area. She is a politician and also the Executive Director, Women Development Monitoring Initiative. She is Chikas Kumle. It's good to have you in the studio, Chikas.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome. And you look elegant, I must say that.
Thank you. And I'm happy to be here.
It's an honor to have someone of your caliber and your prestige here in the studio.
I'm humbled. Thank you so much.
Yes. So let's go straight into the main topic. We are talking inclusive representation, women's representation and participation when it comes to national matters. Over the years, there have been a lot of clamor for women's inclusiveness. Women should be involved in politics. They should be involved in decision making. You know, at the time then, back in the old days, in the ancient times, women were not allowed to make decisions even in the society. But as time grew, women started clamoring for their voice to be heard and everything. But from your own point of view, I want you to just throw more light on this particular issue. Why the cry and the call for this particular will I say anthem, or this particular call itself? Why are we calling for women's representation when it comes to issues that has to do with our society and our nation as a whole?
I'm happy with your opening statement. You gave a background and highlighted how women have been evolving when it comes to matter of inclusion. So when it comes to governance, when it comes to politics, when it comes to leadership, there has been a slow progress. In the personal life and other public life, you see before now, women were not allowed to go to school. People are now allowing their daughters to go to school and attend the highest level of education that they want. Before now, people were not allowing their daughters to even go out to vote. But now we have women contesting. We have women being appointed. Before now, we don't even have women owning bank accounts. But now women own their businesses, they have their bank accounts, they even own properties. So I would say that the times are changing.
Yeah.
But it's not, in my opinion, changing as fast as it should be. Why am I saying that? I've been in politics. I've been very active in politics since 2011. When I mean active, I mean very active, both at the national, the sub-national, and at the grassroots level. But I've seen that in that space, we are now having an increased advocacy for women's representation. Because what we've been having over the years is that women have been participating. Like I've said, have been participating. Women have been participating. They vote. They run around for campaigns. You see them very active to ensure that people get elected into public offices. But when they flip it to say a woman should be elected, that's where the conversation gets rigid. That's where you get so much tension in the room, because our society is highly patriarchal. People still believe having a woman in a position of leadership is dismantling our culture and our tradition. People still hold the patriarchal belief that the space of a woman is domestic and not public life. So that is why they allow them to participate. But when it comes to representation of having a woman being elected, either chairman of a local government, a House of Reps member, a senator, or a governor, we'll leave that of the president for the next conversation. That is when you see much tension and much fights. There's going to be a fight back, a kickback. All forms of barriers have been created to stop women from attaining such positions of power. So when it comes to representation, we are advocating that a woman should have a say on decision-making tables, that women should be allowed to be in the corridors of power, not because of their gender, not because of their looks, but because women have the capacity, the mental capacity needed to provide solutions. Women are competent, and women are born leaders. Right from the home, a woman gives birth to a child. She nurtures the child to ensure she's even his first teacher. She guides the child until he becomes an adult. But when it comes to having that same woman who raised a boy to become a man, to have a say in how that life of that child should be, then people resist it. It is an anomaly. It is unacceptable. And it is a failure of a society to accept the woman for what she is. Women are very sound when it comes to providing solutions. And I always say, as local as they always say politics is, if you want to bring it down home, when you give a woman 10 naira, everybody in the house gets to have a share
Of that
of it, because she's concerned about the welfare of the child, she's concerned about the welfare of the husband and everybody around her. And that is the kind of spirit and mindset that women bring into all other spaces. That is why if you bring them into governance, if you bring them into politics, they'll bring in that same capacity to ensure that the welfare of the people is prioritized. Right now, I can boldly tell you that Nigeria, since independence, is having a hard time moving from just providing the basics for Nigerians, because we have continued to relegate women to the background. We have continued to marginalize them and put them in a small space to say you can come this far but not that far. And the current call to have women have special seats both at the National Assembly and the State Assembly is basically saying there's a gross underrepresentation of women across our parliaments. And why we need to have women in those parliaments is because that's where the laws of the land are made. That's also where the policies are being drafted. And democracy that we practice is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people.
I was going to
And
come to
women
that.
are part of the people. Women are part of the communities. So you cannot shave a man's hair in his absence. And if you say women should not be in those spaces, then their ideas, their perspectives, and also the quality of policies and laws that needs to be made to cater for that half of the population will not be prioritized. The issue about politics and the issue about governance is not about gender. You know, usually now when we have conversations, people turn it to be a gender war. I am a gender advocate and I'm also a politician. So I have seen it from both sides. I've seen where inclusion is important when you bring it to governance, and I also, from my own experience of being in politics, understand that there is a perspective, there's a gender perspective that we need to bring to politics. And once that is done, you see that there's a balance in the representation and the delivery of good governance. At the moment, we're having challenges, like I mentioned, right from independence to this day. Our health sector, if you go down from our health care facilities at the grassroots, they are an eyesore all across the country. No region is safe. Insecurity is a problem. You talk about education sector, we have issues. Talk about the economy, we also have issues. And women are all part of these sectors. But if you pick one of them, let's say, for example, health sector. Every ward is supposed to have a primary health care center.
Yes.
But when you go to those primary health care centers, what you see is an eyesore. No manpower, no facilities. And women are the ones who give birth. They are the ones who visit those healthcare centers more than the men because of the blessings of their ability to give birth. They go to the healthcare centers. After giving birth, they visit with their children for immunizations and all other things.
Even when the child falls ill.
Yes, even when the child falls ill, the women get to visit. So if you take the number of times a woman gets to visit the health center, is more than that of a man because of the birth capacity and the nurturing and all of that.
All the responsibilities.
And if that sector is not well taken care of, guess who is at the receiving end? The woman. And when we happen to fix that health sector, it's not only the women that will visit the centers. If an old man falls sick, if he falls sick, he will visit the center.
Yes.
A young person, regardless of his gender, will have to visit the center. So when we talk about these issues about having women in the room, the women will pay more attention to these issues because they have first-hand experience of how it feels like to go to a healthcare center and not have it fixed. And one example again that as Nigerians we need to be worried about is that the indices for maternal mortality for Nigeria is second to Yemen. And after us is Afghanistan. So in between, we're among countries that are in war, and Nigeria is not at war. But because we have not had the capacity to bring in women into decision-making tables, we now have these alarming indices. Like I said, you cannot shave a man's hair in his absence. And he who wears the shoe knows where it pinches. So as simple as health, just health, we're not even talking about other things, just health. You can see that women's marginalization and the exclusion of women is having a greater effect on the country and is weighing us down. That aside, let's come to education. When you say a woman should go to primary school, go to secondary school, get married, and forget about the future, you're practically saying she can come this far, but not that far. And what we've seen over the years, even from our engagements at the tertiary institution levels, is that we see these girls sit with the boys in class. They sometimes even beat the boys in class. But once they're out of the school, the next thing, everybody around them is hammering them, oh, get married and settle down, which is perfectly okay. But telling a woman that now she is married, she should go and take care of the children and forget about public life is simply telling her that she should forget about having a voice to determine the life of these very children that she's going to born. And we have succeeded as a country denying half of our country's capacity to solve problems, to be in the decision-making rooms. So when you say women are being marginalized or we're excluding women in the room, we're simply denying ourselves the solutions that need to be in that room. Nigeria, again, is ranking very low, 4.6% of representation of women at the National Assembly and at the state assemblies. We are the lowest in West Africa. We are the lowest in Africa. And, okay, The only country we're doing better than them in Africa is countries like South Sudan, like Somalia. See the countries, Burkina Faso. And Nigeria is being said to be the giant of Africa. Are we truly the giant of Africa? Countries like Rwanda, they have 61% of representation of women in parliament. Yes, that is a different region. Come to West Africa. See Senegal, a Muslim-dominated country, have 44% of women. So it's not even the religion that's a problem.
Yeah.
It's just a Nigerian problem. Go to Ghana. Go to Sierra Leone. No country in West Africa is doing as poorly as Nigeria is doing when it comes to representation. Come to our National Assembly. In the Senate, we have only 4 women out of a House of 109 senators. Down to the House of Representatives, we have only 16 women in a House of 360 members. Come to the state assemblies. We have about 14 states where there's no single woman in the state assembly. Sadly, my state is one of those states. What that means is that in those states of assemblies, the chairman House Committee on Women Affairs and Children is headed by a man. When you talk about issues like menstruation, girl-child hygiene, maternal mortality, there's a little to what the man can contribute because he doesn't have first-hand experience about it. And because he doesn't know what it feels like, his ability to profile solutions in those areas will be limited. And for us to have about 14 states without a single woman tells us that there's a problem, because within those states there are women who are educated, well-schooled, well-exposed, have the capacity to solve problems. I'll keep using the word solving problems because governance is about solving problems. Leadership is about providing solutions.
Yes.
And women have the capacity to provide solutions. So if within those states we don't have women, then it means the voices of women in those states are limited.
Okay.
Their perspectives, their interests, issues that concern them are also not prioritized.
Okay.
So the issue of inclusion is not a women's agenda, and it's not also a woman's issue. It's a national problem. And for the sake of our democracy, you cannot sustain democracy when half of the population are excluded. Democracy is about the people, but if half of them are not in the room, that is not absolute democracy. And for us to have a viable democracy, we need to include women.
Okay, so I like the fact that you touched on a few sectors of the society and how women can be able to, impact very well. Now let's come to the housing sector and just touch a little on how the women can be able to impact very well when it comes to the housing matters, housing issues, and also creating a viable and good housing environment for our country. How and in what ways can a woman be very, very, I don't want to say useful, I don't want to use the word useful, but very impactful in the housing sector when it comes to making decisions or even contributing to development in the housing sector?
So housing and shelter is one of the basic necessities of man. And women need housing. Every household, for it to be safe, for it to be comfortable, needs to be under a safe space. Women's impact in the housing sector is one that should not be ignored, because women live in the households. We also have women who own properties. But why we need them included right now is because their ideas to how we should improve on that sector is very important. What do I mean? Nigeria has a housing deficit issue, and the people that are being affected are not just men. Women are also affected.
Yeah, their parents too.
Yes, they are parents, they have children. But when you are having conversations or when you are in major decision rooms where these policies affecting the housing sector or decisions on how to better improve the housing sector is being talked about, you hardly see women there. And that is, in my understanding and in my opinion, an anomaly, because women are part of those that are being affected by it. And you can't get someone to provide a solution when he is not having the space in the room to decide what should be done. The housing sector, like I'll keep saying, is very important. And for us as a country to improve on that path, we need to open up the space so that women will be part of policy makers regarding the housing sector. And I also mentioned that a number of women have properties. Long before now, women are not even allowed to own properties.
I was going to even touch that. Even
yes,
now in
women
the
are not
society,
allowed
we
to
still
own
have
properties.
issues like that.
We still have communities where women are not even permitted to inherit properties from their parents and all that.
Most times, if young girls are owning properties,
so the issue of inclusion is touching on it.
Yes.
Because if we have laws that state that a woman can own her property, then it makes the society more inclusive. If we have laws being drafted to say a woman should be permitted to inherit properties, then it means it's being inclusive. And we can have the policy makers in that room not being women, because men will speak for men. But when women are in that room, then they will speak for women. So you see, it's all connected. When women are on the decision-making rooms, then they will make a case for women. And then the space will be opened up. So another thing I would like to say about the housing sector is, currently, due to the economic challenges that we're facing in the country, you see a lot of conversations about landed properties, about house rents, about all of that. People are always saying, okay, is the government not listening? Why is there skyrocketing of house rents? You see cases with agents and all of that. But when you come to have a deeper understanding of what is happening in it, it's simply because most times the women are excluded in those conversations. Women do pay house rents as well. And because of the patriarchy that I talked about earlier on, when I was much younger, I went to rent a house, and some people still practice it to this day. I went to rent a house, and the first thing the person told me that if you're a single woman, he's not going to give me the house.
We are still having issues like that.
Yes,
till date.
To date. And you go to some places, they'll tell you, oh, you must bring a male guarantor. Even when you're working, having your financial capacity, they'll still say, because patriarchy has gone into different sectors. It has gone even to the housing sector. It has gone to, because you can't tell a woman not to own a property or not to rent a property.
Everyone has a right to own a home.
Yes, and they say everyone has a right to own a home. So are they simply saying that a woman cannot provide her own shelter except there's some form of male backing? What if she's working and she's doing well financially? What if she has some good business running for her? I also have friends who are very key in the housing sector. They've been doing well, but when it comes to key negotiations of having contracts, they are denied those contracts on the basis of their gender, not because they lack the capacity to execute those.
Still on this particular issue, let's even go to the schools.
So if you talk about inclusion, it has a way of just getting into every sector.
Yes, so let's go back to the schools, still on this particular issue. We could even see the amount of let's say young ladies that are studying courses related to housing, maybe be it architecture or engineering, and we have STEM coming up. So just I don't know how much or how much of young ladies are into those particular those particular courses, because when there's a representation of ladies or even women in that sector, it will also help to build them and put them in the position of making decisions in the housing sector as a whole.
You're actually right. My sister is an architect, and I remember when we were in the university, you go to their department, like you can literally count the number of girls in the department. You go to building, it's the same thing. So what that tells you is that we need to start from the educational sector. Starting from primary school, you need to tell the girls that they have a space in these professional spaces, so that in the admission processes, more girls should be admitted into those departments and not make it look like it's a male space where female cannot function properly. We need to increase the number of women, the girls that gets admitted into those courses. And anytime, I've not seen any female architect or any female builder that is not doing well. So it just tells me that it starts also from the home, that people are telling her, oh, you're a girl, just go and study nursing, just be a teacher, forget about these
All those
professional
courses are so
yes
soft.
yes they say yes, they say it's a male course, you don't need to do all that. So it still reflects on what I said earlier on. Everything comes back to the smallest unit, which is the home, where patriarchy starts from. You need to encourage the girls to take on those professional courses and get them admitted into the institutions in large numbers. And that's why I always say that this federal character that we practice and have it as a law in Nigeria, we need to put federal character in every sector. Even in the educational sector, we should go into our books and check, are we admitting enough girls into this, or we're the ones making a barrier, placing a barrier to having them get into those places? Because that's where the foundation is. Once they get to study, they come out as professionals, and then they'll be able to express their competencies in their areas. And you know, again, I don't want to delve much into that's your space, housing sector, but I have a lot of friends that are operating in that space, and I can tell you that inclusion is needed everywhere. Yes.
So one last question before I let you go. We have spoken so much on the clamor for women being included or represented in national matters and in every sector. And right now, let us come back to the women themselves. How aware are the women of this? How much is the awareness to them? Because as much as we are clamoring for it, the question, we still have to go back to the drawing board. Are women willing, even in this present time and age, to want to join or involve themselves in national or political matters? Are young girls very much aware? Are they being mentored the right way? Is the awareness being brought to them? And yes, just those two questions. How aware are they, and so how the mentorship aspect also, how, because most of the people we see in the women we see when it comes to national issues and political issues, I don't want to call them, but of much older age than you won't see, most times you won't see much of the young ladies, and that is where it starts from. For you started far back as 2011, and that's a long time coming from now. So how for the young ladies, how aware are they about this particular issue? And let us see a way we can begin to, you know, involve them in this kind of process and begin to groom them right now before we get to that stage.
Okay, so I'll answer your question in two parts. You know, you started by asking if they are ready or not. And I will say yes and no. Yes, because we have so many women right now in political parties, different political parties, who have been very active. People like myself, we've run for office, we are still very active in politics, we've practiced the politics at different levels. And no, because you still have a number of women who don't see themselves as having a voice in the political space. And that's where your statement about awareness creation needs to come in. My organization works on advocating, educating, and empowering women to take on leadership roles. We need to first of all bring their minds to understand that yes, they have a space in politics, in governance, and in leadership. Once they see themselves having that space, then they will be able to take on the right step and be active. So when you say awareness creation and mentorship, first of all, we don't even have enough women in politics to mentor young women as we have the men. So a number of us, you see us with hundreds of young women mentoring, and because we are limited in number, those young women don't seem to have enough role models. Oh, you want to be a governor? We've never had a female governor. Oh, you want to be a female president? We've never had a female president. And there's something that picture does to the mind. If a woman sees a woman being a governor, you don't need to say much. Right from within, she sees herself as having the capacity to also become.
Let's even just so because any profession at all.
Any profession, any profession. So the number of young women that we have right now, are people who are probably born with the passion, or they have some people around them that they've seen that they can also take in that line. But because the artificial barriers that have been created to keep women out still exist, a lot of women find it difficult to want to do the things we are doing. Things like the financial barrier. Our politics is highly monetized. Every process of our political life is money, from consultations to the field execution to everything is money. Talk about violence. There's so much violence in our politics, not just on women, even on the men. And that violence alone keeps women out. And there's different levels of violence that's being meted on women. There's the physical violence, there's sexual harassment, there's online bullying, cyber stalking, all manner of things. Then we also talk about some other barriers like the patriarchy, like the stereotypes. When you first come out to run for office, some people don't even want to hear what you want to say. So long as you are women, they'll tell you, I have somebody like you at home, please go and sit down, go and take care of your children and do some other thing. Don't be here where elders are trying to talk business of leadership and governance. And when you talk about younger women are faced with double jeopardy. First, because of their gender, and then because of their age. Because the older women themselves are struggling to get a space in the political life and governance corridors. Then now you're coming with younger women who are of less age, who are of less experience, who probably just finished from school and all of that. And then they are struggling to get jobs, and you're talking of a politics that is monetized. Where would they get the resources to actively prosecute the processes? So there are a number of barriers. But from my experience, anywhere there are challenges, then it means there are opportunities. And your consistency in the space also helps you to build capacity. Your consistency in the space also helps you to build a network that will help you. Like the last time I ran for House of Representatives, 80% of the resources I used were not mine. But because I've been in the space for a while, people were able to support me, people were able to put in money, and that's why I always tell young women, you will not have enough money. You can never have enough money for politics. But your network, they say, is your network. So once you are in the space and you build the network, people will put their money on you. Even the big guys that run for governors and presidential elections, they even have people putting their money on them. So you can never have enough money. So that should not, I'm saying this so that anybody watching should not be discouraged that, oh, I'm young, I don't have the money, so I can't be in politics. And again, when it comes to mentorship, you must not be mentored by a woman. We have very responsible men out there who will not take advantage of you, who will want to mentor you. I'm being mentored by men as well as women, who will mentor you in politics, who will pull your hand, open the doors for you, and ensure that in spaces where you needed to be, they get you into the doors. Because you know, in politics, the mentorship you're talking about in politics is having someone who has gone through that part that will be able to pull you through and mention your name in rooms where you don't have the capacity to enter. And that's what is needed mostly for young women in Nigeria. We mentioned it before. You talk about godfathers. Where are the godmothers? So we need godmothers.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think that's going to be our take home for today. Thank you so much for coming, Chikas Kumne. It was really a pleasure having you here and discussing this matter. Thank you so much. Just like our guests have said, we have godfathers and we are the godmothers. We need the godmothers also in the society to be able to, you know, keep women out there and make sure they are represented when it comes to decision making in our society and in our country and in the world at large. This is where we draw the curtain this particular day here on Dateline. It has been an interesting one. I hope you were able to get something from this particular conversation. And so I come your way with another interesting topic. I remain Dorcas Chair. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates on this program. You can follow us on Housing TV on all our social media platforms and download the Housing TV mobile app on your Google Play Store and your Apple Store. Keep watching Housing TV Africa. Bye for now.
Important power generation and supply. That discussion required to limit. Part in partnership